when Kickstarter first launched, I wanted to start something. I wanted to kickstart something. I really did, but then I had to like narrow it down. Like, what could I kickstart? What do people really want? I thought about starting a Kickstarter project for Gnome Decks, the conference that I ran for about 10 years, and thought, how would I do that, right? I could set up different levels and say, hey, I'm going to produce another Gnome Decks conference, but only if I reach a certain level of commitment. If we reach this much money, we'll be able to produce the conference. And I'd set the bar and let people kind of buy into the idea of, possibly doing Gnome Decks as a conference again. Because so many people said, oh, why don't you do it again? I don't know exactly how that would work. I don't know if anybody's ever tried to do a conference on Kickstarter before, but I thought about it. I've been approached by individuals to see if I wanted to do a Kickstarter project with them. It takes a lot of time to do Kickstarter projects the right way. You need so many elements and really expertise on hand to be able to pull off a successful Kickstarter project. And I've seen so many great ideas just kind of fall flat. I've Kickstarted a few ideas, I guess funded or partially funded ideas that just didn't get fully funded because not enough people believed in the idea that was put forth. And that, I think, is the thing that's keeping me back or holding me back from actually trying a Kickstarter project on my own. I'd hate to do it only to not be able to see it through, as in want to see a successful project. That would really upset me. So, the good news is there are a lot of Kickstarter projects that I'm very happy to fund, very happy to see come to fruition. And maybe at some point in the future, I'll figure out a way to do more Kickstarter projects on my own, potentially with partners. But the nice thing about not knowing where I'm starting is that we've created a short guide for you. If you are someone who's looking to create your own Kickstarter project, Matt Ryan collected 5 things you might want to do before starting your Kickstarter project. Number 1, form a company if needed. That's important. Like if I were to form a Kickstarter project, I would basically create a new company outside of my existing company. It would be a separate company. And that would be smart because then you've got, your articles all put together. You've got expectations. You've got roles. You've got a completely separate company so that nobody could be disappointed if something goes wrong. That's usually why, you've got to set up the structure before something happens, good or bad, because then at least you know how you're going to deal with it, that you can deal with it. List the things you need. So you might have an idea. I'm going to create an app. Great. Do you have everything you need? No, I don't have any developers. Well, you might need developers. How much are those developers going to cost you? I don't know. $5. Wow. $5 app developer? I've seen a few apps that aren't even worth that. No, getting a list of the things you need could be equally as important. Again, you've got to know what you're putting together before you can present it to everybody else. I want to feel confident that you know exactly what you're doing. If I come to your Kickstarter project and it looks like it's just slapped together, I don't think you can execute. You've never executed on anything like this in your life. Even $5 would be a waste of money if I were to... Oh, wait, no. Oh, you've done this before. Okay. Well, it's a good idea. I'd like to see it come to fruition. Here's my $5 or whatever I might happen to spend on your project because you've listed the things you need. You know what your needs are. You know how much it's going to cost you so you can deliver a good product or service. Set reasonable time expectations and deadlines. You don't want to say, oh, fund my project, and 2 weeks after it's funded, you will have widget X. That could happen, but if you're talking about a physical product, you may never have dealt with manufacturing before, and that could be a challenge and a half. Determine realistic project and rewards goals. So, as you set up at different stages, so $5 commitment, $10 commitment, $100, $1,000, $10,000. What can you give? What are people going to be willing to pay for, and what can you give them in return that's not going to take so much out of you? You got to be realistic in the way that you approach things. And, even as I'm reading this list to you, I'm still formulating ideas like, what could I create? What kind of Kickstarter project could I create that you guys could get behind? What would it be? What kind of Kickstarter project could we do? I mean, what kind of Kickstarter project would you like to see me do that I could do, that you could benefit from? Is it making something that doesn't already exist, making something and make it work better than it already does? Is it services? Is it software? What is it? If you're talking about something physical, you got to build a prototype. That's really the last suggestion we want to pass along, and it would be a suggestion for me as well. Putting a video together and saying, "Hey, here's the prototype for my smartphone case that slices, dices, and it smells like pumpkin pie." I don't know what the hell, this doesn't smell. I hate pumpkin pie. Blah. Wouldn't be surprised if someone would want to fund that project, but that's not a project that I would necessarily back. The point is, having a working prototype to say, hey, here's probably what it's going to look like. This is what we put together. It's a proof of concept, so that we can wrap our minds around it. It's a little more difficult to do if you're talking about high-level concepts like services or conferences or events. That's what's been funded in the past. Media projects like plays and movies or short films. I guess the bottom line is it couldn't hurt to put something out there as long as you've done your homework on it. So if you have any other suggestions for Kickstarter tips that you can pass along, we'd love to put more articles together to help people like yourself who are looking to basically start what would hopefully become a very successful Kickstarter project. Take a look at the list. We've linked it in the video's description below.